Hello and welcome to tonight's episode of Destiny's Dispatch, where we are going to dip into the wellspring and drink from the cup of inspiration. We are Ever Eye Games, and I'm Vicky, and this is Dean. Say hi, Dean.
Hello, everyone.
Right, so tonight, what an episode we have, haven't we, Dean?
Oh, we got some great stuff this episode. Some really good stuff to share and talk about, and to hear your views as well.
Yes, because I'm sure this isn't something that just sits with Dean and I. I think everybody has got stuff that inspires them. And we're focusing mainly tonight on some of the literature. But what we're going to do is we are going to say hello to you all in the chat. Then we're going to give you a bit of an update, a little bit of an update of where we are, some of the progress that's been made, and need I say, a bit of a sneak peek, aren't we, Dean?
Oh, we are. It's going to be exciting stuff. We've made incredible progress. Everything is on target. It's beginning to look really good.
It actually feels as if it's within touch and distance now, guys. I mean, it is absolutely terrifying.
Yes.
But at the same time, I can't wait. So let's see who we've got in the chat. This means I have to scroll all the way to the top.
Or you could just click on the pinned section.
Oh, there's a pin. Oh, look at that. That's clever. So we have Cyrus in the chat. Hello.
Hiya, Cyrus. Good to have you here.
We have a Cam.
Eager as ever. Nice to see you, Cam.
Absolutely. And according to AGP, this is going to be a fun stream.
It's lovely to have you here, AGP. Can't wait for you to be back on Indie Spotlight to talk about all the hard work you've been doing of late. It sounds like you've been really burning the candle at both ends, as it were.
And talking of Indie Game Spotlight, we've got Loeves in the chat.
Hiya, Loeves.
Had an amazing time talking to Loeves all about Mercs, Mages and Monsters, which was out on our YouTube channel on Thursday. I have to say, fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it, didn't you?
Oh, it was great. We had such a blast. I'd never laughed so much. All I can say about that interview is a goblin piss paste.
Not when I'm drinking. Dean.
Sorry.
But yeah, fantastic. You've got to watch it, guys. I thoroughly, you know what? I loved some of the stuff we went through in that game. It's absolutely brilliant. But look who else we've got.
We've got
Jeff from Denka. Hello. Lovely seeing you. And look at this. We've got a sci-fi snob.
We have a sci-fi snob.
Hello.
Good to see you.
And look who we've got on Rumble.
It's a Michael.
It's a Michael. Yes, it was that was cruel, wasn't it? Yes. We go. He's in trouble for that one now.
I am. Yes.
Okay, so we are going to start off, are we not, with a little bit of an update about where we are. So, Dean.
Yes. What I'm going to do is start pressing some buttons and.
What, you're pressing buttons?
I am pressing buttons. Let's put that there. So,
before,
I
do need to say, and Sci-Fi Snob has absolutely reminded us, don't forget to like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. It all helps. Don't forget, you can always, afterwards pop in comments, stuff like that. Everything helps us with the algorithm. So yeah, as much as possible.
Yes. Am I okay to continue?
You can continue now.
Right. My door's a revolving door at the moment. I got cats coming in and out constantly, but let's let's talk about our progress. So I've just done a screen grab of some of the stuff I was doing today. And you can see we're using InDesign from Adobe to put all the layouts together. And this is just the mechanics section. And then we're putting like these little boxes in place where we got white space and we need a graphic to go in there so we can have a look at it later, look at the images we've got and what's suitable and pop them in. So it's all coming together quite nicely. And I've actually finished. So these are some PDFs of our classes.
Have you got a cat trying to break in next door?
I have got a cat trying to break in next door. Can you hear that?
I can hear that. I think you need to.
Yeah. Do you want to talk to people about this, and I'll go sort out the cat.
Well, that's. Oh, all right then. All right. So you can see here. This is some of our characters that we've pulled in. Now, for what we're giving away on the 30th of June, is we've put in everything for first level. However, for the Master at Arms, we are actually going to give away the whole class. So you can see, because we've done all of this, we've got every class done up to level 20. So we're going to give the Master at Arms so you can see what it sort of looks like as you go up the levels. It gives you a really good idea. But you can see here, we've put everything in. Now, this is actual artwork. This is artwork that was done by Jacob Kazia. The only thing we've done is we've just taken the black and white versions we've got. So because we just thought it looks really nice like that. He did this fantastic job. And in fact, we've actually got all of these on colour postcards. You'd be absolutely amazed by them. They're absolutely thrilling, aren't they, Dean? The postcards
they're
we've got of these in colour.
Yes, and we got loads. So again, over-ordered. Yes, too eager.
We made a slight mistake on the volumes when we ordered. We've now got boxes and they're beautiful, absolutely beautiful art postcards. But that's going to be great because we're going to use them for like giveaways and stuff like that. So they're not going to go to waste. There's a little bit of lore on the back of them. It's absolutely thrilling. But yes, I was just mentioning about the Master at Arms and how we've putting in all 20 levels.
Yes, so whilst we've only got first levels for the other classes, because we've been sharing the Master at Arms quite a bit, and it's pretty much out there, to show anybody who's looking at this that we have designed it all the way up to 20th level. The Master at Arms is going in as a completed class. So it's a little bit of jiggery pokery. I want to put that across 2 pages rather than have it on the side. But that way, anybody picking this up for the first time, looking through it, they can see what the different classes are like and then see a full class in all its glory. So yeah, should be good. Shall I move on to what Vicky's been working on?
Yeah, so I'm playing. This is playing at the moment, but we're looking at what we can do for the front page. Now, we absolutely love this piece. This is by Luke Eidenschenk. Absolutely stunning.
There we go. That's better.
Yeah, that is. But we're not sold yet on what colours we're going to do. Now, I quite like the orange border, and I really quite like it. And in fact, it's quite weird. Now you've actually put it on here, Dean. I'm wondering whether we need a gold border around the outsides of it.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah,
like that.
Because that looks quite cool. But do you want to just go through and show the different sort of colours? Now, I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat. So this is number 2. This is like a dusky sort of blue.
Yeah, it's like a grey, dusky, bluey grey. Yes,
bluey grey.
Word. Purple.
And that's a purple.
Yeah, dark purple. I like purple.
Yeah, you like purple.
And blue to keep the theme of the blue going. But is that too much blue?
It could be too blue. Blue.
Dabba dee ba dee do, dabba dee. Anyway, I'm not singing.
No, don't sing. No. This is
a slightly lighter purple.
See, I quite like that one.
You do. And then Vicky was playing around with the border on the picture to a grey border. But personally, I think something like that. The orange border stands out, frames the artwork beautifully.
Cyrus likes the red.
Cyrus likes the red. There we go.
Yeah, it's quite nice. That is actually, no, I'm going to admit this is actually closer to a pink. It was, what was it? I wrote it down what it was. I can't see it there. But yeah, it is a certain pink, but it's very much bordering on red. I quite like it because it's not so bright it hits you. Oh, Jeff is streaming as well, is he?
Oh, Jeff's
Ooh.
streaming.
Yeah, you like the orange border. Excellent. That's what I like to hear. And AGP likes the purple. Oh, we've got a race.
Oh, we got a race. Hang on. So purple as well. Yeah, because I like the purple too. That purple
Or
that purple.
that purple.
Oh, that is.
Yeah, I must admit, looking at the gold border that we've got round our
Yeah, that
it
does
actually
seem
all
to.
seems to go really well.
Yeah, I was thinking of. So that's with our border taken out. So that would be the kind of what we'd be looking at.
Yeah. But you know something, I'm just going to play some more. But this is just to give you an idea of how it's sort of panning out. Yeah, I must admit, I like red because it is classic, and it reminds Dean of the red box set that started him off. So it's almost like our little nod to the red box set. So, but what I don't want to do is to use the same red as
No.
Dungeons and Dragons. I just don't think that would be the right thing to do, which is why I looked at this, because it's not quite that red, but it's our red.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's, yeah. Do you know what? We got some great feedback here, because I'm torn. I love the jiggery pokery. What kind of jiggery? Out of the pokiest jiggery. Yes.
I have to say that Michael always manages to find out when I'm talking rubbish, doesn't he?
He
Always does. Always hears me talking about jiggery pokery. Oh, Jeffram.
Oh, blue cover with the gold trim.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to have to do. So I will be doing some playing, and we will show you some more next week. So editing is now complete, isn't it, Dean? And we've only got the layouts to finish. So we are on track for the 20th of June.
30th.
30th. 20th is tomorrow.
No, we're not on track for the 20th. And 20th is in 4 days' time. No, it's the 30th of June. So
I'm not doing well with dates at the moment,
no,
am I?
Not.
No, we're not mentioning dates anymore. No.
So there we go. Fantastic. Thanks so much for your feedback. Yeah, I'm torn. There's so many great choices there.
I did try just, doing a whole sort of front with just the artwork and then put it, and it just didn't look right. I couldn't get it to look nice. And I really do quite like the artwork with the border and the block color. Yeah. So
there we go.
So we got another purple and orange.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to have a play. What
Purple.
we'll do is we will bring you some further playing around next week. How does that sound, Dee?
Yeah, that sounds good, because we'll be finalizing things then and getting ready to do some test print runs to see what they look like printed. So yeah.
So we're quite lucky because we actually have a decent printer at home, but we're actually going to be taking it to our printers. We're going to be checking how it all prints out properly. This is the first time we've ever had to lay stuff out ourselves, isn't it, Dean?
It is, yeah.
So it's a learning curve. I even bought him a book.
Yeah, it's been used to prop up the desk.
I know you haven't used it at all. I'm very disappointed.
I leafed through, but you know what it's like. You just if you have a look at what you're doing, and then you just find a tutorial. It teaches you 90% of what you need, and then you fill in the rest as you go along and learn as you go. So the problem with the book is you need to have a big tranche of time to read the entire book to fully understand and appreciate, whereas we don't seem to have that. We've got to hit the ground running.
Time.
Get in. Exactly. So I just grab a YouTube video. I just have a look at what needs to be done, how to use the software, and then go from there. And if I hit a problem, research how to get out of that problem. So yeah, I think it's
Steep
going
learning
well.
curve.
It is a steep learning curve, but I think it's going well in that we've managed to do around about 16 pages in sort of like half a day to a day, and that's only going to get faster now as we go through. So it's pretty good stuff. Really enjoying it. But talking of books,
Talking of books. So yes, the Wellspring. So one of the things that we've always said when we've been talking to you guys is that when we created Untold Destiny, we wanted to bring to life some of the great journeys and the books that we both loved so much. So we thought that today we would share some of those things with you. And I'd love to hear about some of the books and that have inspired you, because I would say that every single person on this stream that I can see here in the chat has, every one of you's creative, and I bet you that you've all read different books, and I bet you we've all got slightly different ones as well. So Dean, go on. What's the one set of books that you think is your most inspiring?
well, it will not come as a surprise to say that The Lord of the Rings is what I consider to be the most inspiring book for me when I was younger, fueling my imagination. It was my first real experience of deep fantasy, and it was a set of books I read several times. I was even lucky enough, there was a radio show done by the BBC, Lord of the Rings, and it was playing on the radio around the same time. So I got to listen to some brilliant voice actors talking through the story, albeit it was an abridged story compared to the books, but it was just uh, those books and the maps and everything that came with them was fantastic and took me to a different world, and I loved it, and it's inspired so much of what we put into Untold Destiny. The one example I use is Boromir's Last Stand. You know, our wound system displayed there, standing and just taking one hit after another, these wounds coming in, but you're still standing there fighting strong until the last one takes you down. You've now got your fifth wound, but then it's the, even though you got your fifth wound and you're dead, you've got that one last heroic moment to talk, and it's Boromir's talking to Aragorn, and you know, asking for forgiveness and saying he failed, and Aragorn reassuring him he hasn't. So everything that you read within Lord of the Rings, I've tried to make sure is represented in Untold Destiny, because I am so inspired by it. It's got enough kind of magic, but it's not high fantasy. You haven't got you know, sort of superheroes, but you've got powerful people and powerful characters within the story. It's fantastic. So for me, no surprise, Lord of the Rings by far. What about you, Vicky? What's your kind of core big inspiration?
Well, I have to say, I also am a massive fan of Lord of the Rings, but we both can't have Lord of the Rings because that would be cheating.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean,
I got to go first, so I got there first.
Yeah, you did. Do you see? Can you see? That was my gift to him. Was like, you know, because it is Lord of the Rings. I think has. I remember, and I wonder if you remember as well, when we first got married. We actually were in our little. We had this little 2-bed house which we were paying over the odds for because we were both classed as students, but we had to have independent insurance and stuff like that. It was ridiculous, wasn't it, Dean?
It was there was some weird stuff going on with student insurance. In fact, it was years later that I'm trying to remember which newspaper, but they ran an investigation into this big scam that was going on, where the students' union was in bed with some insurers, and they were charging students way over the top for house insurance. So yeah, it wasn't great. But we had this lovely. We both moved out of home, moved together quite quickly, and had this lovely little 2-bed rented apartment.
Yeah, it was our little 2-bedroomed mid-terrace house, and we lived there together. We had a little garden. We won't mention rakes.
No,
and no. And It was just an amazing time. And the reason I bring this up is because, to link in with what Dean was saying about Lord of the Rings, we actually had the play on tape. Now, tape, we used to sit there and we used to go through those tapes one at a time. We've got The Hobbit on tape and we've got Lord of the Rings on tape. And we just used to sit there listening to it together. And this was when we first got married, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd be reading and you'd be on the computer, and sometimes you'd just be sat there curled up on the sofa and we would listen to it. So when I say Lord of the Rings has been really sort of instrumental and very inspirational for both of us, it's been there right from the very beginning. But since I wasn't allowed Lord of the Rings because somebody stole that one to go first, so a couple of ones that absolutely inspired me and still inspire me to this day. So I absolutely fell in love with the Belgariad. So I love the Belgariad and the Malorian by David Eddings. And I think the way I would say that that has actually inspired us is the fact that we love the journey. Half of the adventure takes place on the road. It's not just the final destination, it's the things that happen as you go along. And when I look at those characters, I mean, I must have started reading this when I was, what, kid? I must have been 12, 11, 12, maybe even younger than that. I was a nightmare. I lived at the library. I never had none of these books I had at home. I used to walk down to the library every Saturday. I used to have a backpack and I used to fill the backpack full of books, and then I used to walk back home again. And I always remember the Belgariad because I started reading it and I fell in love with the characters. Probably I was an adolescent. It's very much, when you think about it, it's a coming of age story for lots of the characters. But one of the things I think that really inspired me was not just the main characters, but some of the side characters. So if I think about Silk, for example, and if any of you have read it, you'll know who Silk is. Like, doesn't take any sort of description. He is a prince, but he goes by the name of Silk, sometimes Amber of Cortu, sometimes other names as well. And essentially, he's a bit of a rogue. And at one point, they're going through basically this big fortress, and someone who's played them throughout several books beforehand basically has managed to get ahead of them and jump Silk and Garyon. And there's a massive, great big fight, and it's fantastic, and it's all very dexterous and bouncy. And Silk knocks this bad guy whose name is Brill, and he's a bit smelly, and he's also a very, very, very competent assassin. But Silk manages to throw him over the side of the parapet. And this reminds me of the amount of effort we went to with our falling rules, because this bad guy fell, and they're like, "Oh, well, what do you mean Brill was here? Well, what's he doing?" And it's like, "Well, last time I looked, he was trying to fly." Looks over, and then you hear like a bounce. It's like, I don't think he managed it. And it's that little tongue-in-cheek humor. It was the fact that falling damage was definitely lethal. And I think all of this sort of stuff, from the dexterous side of the rogues to the falling damage, all of this has found its way into Untold Destiny, because we talk about these things all the time, don't we, Dean?
We do, yes.
And that, to me, I mean, there's so much I could talk about the Belgariad and the Malorian. But I mean, I actually remember having to wait for them to write the Malorian, and I was having to wait for every single book to come out. But not only did I have to wait for it to be published, but I had to go on the waiting list at the library to actually get to read it. That was torturous. Absolutely torturous. But yeah, those, I reckon, considering I've just finished reading the Belgariad again last night when I couldn't sleep. So I've been reading it over the past week. I tend to read it a couple of times a year still. And then I go through and I do the Malorian and then the other books. And I do it quite regularly. It makes me feel safe, comfortable, and I just like going back to it. So yeah, that was one of my big inspirations. What about you, Dean? Have you got any others?
Oh yeah, we got loads. We got loads here. One that I'd only just started doing D&D for the first time.
Just before you go, look
on.
who we've got.
Oh, yes.
We've got a Paddy. Hello,
Hey, Paddy.
You're at work.
Lurking. I always
lurking at work.
Yes.
You enjoy. We love seeing you.
Yes. So I'd only just started playing D&D. Fell in with a group at the YMCA, which was fantastic. They introduced me to a set of books, which was the Dragonlance saga. And I immediately fell in love with them. All the characters that were described in those books were just incredible. The Inn of the Last Home, built around this tree. In fact, the whole village, town built amongst the trees was fantastic. The description of this world was, it just took me somewhere else. Whereas when I was a lot younger, I'd read Lord of the Rings. This was a lot more light-hearted in places, but still epic. It had huge dragons in it. There was a lot more action going on constantly, and there were these ups and downs with the heroes, and then the whole thing of trying to find a ring to protect Tanis against Lord Soth's power would kill it. Because you were playing the game and you were seeing the game represented in print in this story, there was something about it. And yes, I'm actually now rereading those books because it was so long ago, and I was there thinking through the story, and I can remember bits and I can't remember other bits. So I thought, right, great opportunity, let's pick the books up again and read them. And we got some I think they're like first or second edition prints, and the font is really small. And yes, I'm there like an old man in bed go, oh, the font is rather small, I can't hardly read this.
What do you mean, like an old man in bed?
Shush, wench, shush.
Charming.
I know. But it had the iconic bad guys, Tarkassis and the Draconians. And I loved the idea of the Draconians. And I actually went on to run a campaign in Dragonlance where they were playing through the whole story, but they had the chance to change whatever they wanted. And I had this opportunity to really kind of take the campaign in a different direction compared to the books, and we all had a fantastic time. It was great.
Oh, look, we have got Tinkus.
Hello.
Tinkinis. I can never say names. Lovely to see you. And yes, Christopher Lee does read Lord of the Rings every year, and it's a good reason. And I have to say, I've got to pick it back up again. I haven't read it for a couple of years, mainly because when I start reading, I don't stop, do I, Dean? I'm terrible.
You are terrible. You even ignore me.
Dean.
Yeah.
I got told off when I was at home when I was a kid, and the Malorian was coming out, and I had it, and my mum called me down for dinner, and I walked down the stairs reading the book. I sat at the table reading the book, and my mum went ballistic because I wouldn't put the book down. It's like, you can do that later. And I was like, no, I've got to see. So yeah, I think when you've got a book that you love, you tend to go back to it. And another one of mine that I tend to go back to, another series actually, I seem to like series, is Magician. Raymond E. Feist. Oh, I do like The Magician. That is a series of books that calls out to me every time. And again, it's another example of the journey. They didn't just stay in one spot. They went from place to place. They ended up having to go to a different world because they got taken. When you have a look at what Pug goes through, when all of the characters in that book, what they go through, it's just phenomenal. What Thomas goes through, how he links up with the elves, it's just amazing. And don't forget Marcus. You know, when you have a look at these books, I always remember when they're going through the forest and they're being chased by the Dark Brotherhood, and the way that made me feel the first time I read it. And they're on their horses and they're being chased, and you've got some of the people at the back sort of falling under the attacks, and the way that came across, I love it. I love the fact that he wrote this off the back of actually playing role-playing games. You know, this, you can tell people who write books have got an amazing imagination, and I love that. And I love how they portray the characters. I love how they portray what's happening. And I love the fact that I can forget about real life whilst I'm reading them. I find them way more satisfying than watching a film. I can enjoy a film, but I can't lose myself in a film as much as I can lose myself in a book. You can ask Dean, when I'm reading a book, yeah, there's not much conversation that goes on, is there?
No, no. To be fair, I normally, get a chance to pop onto the Xbox, play a couple of games or two, like a couple of runs of Fallout 4 and Skyrim, complete several endings and, jump onto another long game and have plenty of time well, in reality, Vicky is a fast reader. So I like boot up the Xbox, I get ready and she's, oh, finish the book. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's been, reading to me has been a pleasure that I've had since I was a child. It's something that, it's the one thing I would never want to lose, is my ability to read. It is just so important. What's funny? AGP's finding something funny.
You losing yourself in books and me jumping, taking the opportunity to do something.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is the case though.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
I mean, there are so many other books as well that have inspired us over the years.
Yes, I'm going to come up with one now, which is quite unusual. It's a book I read when I was a child. I was, I think, probably around about 10, maybe 11, but it's The Forever War. And if I get the author's name, by Joe Handel.
We're great with names.
I am.
Have you noticed
Haldman.
this? We're brilliant with names. We're terrible.
Oh, it is. Joe Haldman. And it was, I mean, it's sci-fi, and it gave me a real love for sci-fi. And it was all about this incredible war between humanity and this alien race. But what made it so interesting is they were describing the drugs that you followed the story of one soldier, and they were describing the drugs they were infused with to make them fight more viciously. So there's a lot of parallels with what was happening in Vietnam. But at the same time, it's this brutality that the aliens have against the humans, and the humans, because the drugs, have against the aliens. But what makes this an incredible set of books is there are jump points, so areas where ships can go kind of into a sort of faster than light speed. But at the same time, it means time goes a bit weird. So what can happen is it might take you 100 years to get some from A to B. And this is why it's called the Forever War. So you jump in. For you, it's a matter of days, it may be a week, and then you appear at the other side. But years have gone by for the world, the galaxy at large. So this just means you can jump out on an alien stronghold, and your technology is so much more advanced than theirs because they haven't received the latest tech from wherever their research has been done. But then the counter's true. You could be jumping into an area and meet a very advanced alien ship because it just happened to have been created a lot later than your ship, which took longer to get to the battle zone. So the Forever War was this incredible look at how all of this happens, how the war was kind of panned out, the length of time it took to do the war, and also how humanity changed in the process. And what I found fascinating is the soldier you follow. He eventually kind of survives the war. So he was there at the start, he's there at the very end. And when he goes back to Earth, Earth has completely changed. And he met this woman whilst he was doing tours, lost contact with her, and she left a message with him saying, "Look, we're on this planet where all us old folks go because we can't fit into this new world. So you're welcome to come here." And she put herself on stasis to wait for him to return, hoping he would survive. But what I found absolutely fascinating is it talks about how um, in Earth, gender had become meaningless, and everybody was the same sort of sex, and it was this weird. And at the time, I remember reading it and thinking, "Wow, this is really weird. This is quite strange." But it was very prophetic at the time. And you're talking back in what, the 1980s. So it was quite a book, and it showed just how culturally things can change so incredibly, and how when you're fighting this war, when you're missing years at a time because your jumps are taking so long, how things can just go slipping past, and everything can be different. But there's still pockets of the old folks, as it were, the people who were there at the start of the war. Uh, had survived and were now trying to just eke out the remainder of their lives in peace. So an incredible set of books, an incredible book. And if you get the opportunity to read it, if you like sci-fi, do have a read of it. I find it fascinating, and every now and then I'll go back to it and read it again, because it's just one of those. Um, when I read it as a young child, as a young kid, I was taken into the stars themselves, and I was feeling what the soldier was feeling, and it was it was heartbreaking at times, and it was on the edge of your seat at times, and it was fascinating at the same time. So yeah, a good book that fed my science fiction and kind of ignited that, and made me just want more. So have you
And
got a book?
that's
Mm,
Well, yeah, but I think that's quite interesting because when you look at the origins of Untold Destiny, you actually had the sort of gates that would propel people, would propel the ships through.
yeah.
So that's inspiration is absolutely clear into the way that you sort of molded Untold Destiny, our sci-fi sort of side of it, right at the very beginning. And this is the thing, you can see snippets of all of our books that we love,
Mm.
sneaking through in different things, from nuances in rules in the games into how we've designed it all. It's all fed through, isn't it, Dean?
Oh, it is, and it's this influence that has inspired us when we start to think about how worlds would exist. Um, it's okay drawing upon the modern world, but you don't. You need to go back, and history. I was never really good at history at school because, to be honest, school made it boring. They made
Yeah.
history incredibly boring. But beyond school, um, reading, about the Roman Empire and about the Greeks, and the Odyssey and stuff like that. Yeah, it's inspiring, and then that helps to inform you. If we had a world where this magic existed, and people lived like this, and these dangers persisted, what would that world look like? And being well read helps you visualize and prepare, and come up with the ideas and come up with the solutions to the problems. So yeah, the Forever War, when it came to uh, Untold Destiny with the sci-fi version and how ships traveled, there was a little bit of influence there. And in fact, the singularity gates, the way they worked was based on the principle that you had like these singularities that you could put together and then pull apart and send two gates either side, and they would link together. Um, Otherwise, time, it would take a lot of time to travel between systems, and yeah, the Forever War kind of informed some of those decisions, and especially the description of some of the planets and stuff like that. And it made me think about how the galaxy would be, especially then if you didn't have that other alien race and you had other challenges instead. So it was a great book, a great book. Anyway, Vicky, what about you? What's
What
next?
about me? Well, and I hate to say this because they made it into a film, but I absolutely loved Ender's Game when I was a kid. And not just Ender's Game, but all of the other books that came in that series. So when you have a look at Ender's Game and the way that Orson Scott Card actually told the story of not just Ender, but Valentine and Peter, and how that linked together was just phenomenal. And then how he tied it into the battle school. Now, I know they did the film, it didn't do it justice. Dean can tell you how much I ranted when I came out of the cinema.
Yeah, you did not like the film. It's,
I liked bits,
yeah,
but it was not Ender's Game as how I'd ever imagined it. They had just chopped off all of what I loved, which was some of the politics, which was some of the stuff in the background between Valentine and Peter, how Peter goes on to become the hegemon. It just, none of that was really exposed the way it should have been. It wasn't explored. I personally think if they were going to do it, they should have done it as a long-running TV series across all of the books. But I could rant about that forever. However, the books I do. The books themselves have inspired me on so many levels. And one of the things I think was when I have a look at some of the later books, and it talks about when they go out to the stars and they start populating the worlds are populated on cultural lines. So when I think it's Speaker for the Dead, the actual world that he travels to is basically very much Portuguese, it's very much Catholic, and it is, and that culture went to the stars and took and set up on that planet, you know. And that's the way, when we were talking about Untold Destiny Origins, that's how we saw expansion out to the stars. If mankind is going to leave this planet, which it's got to if it's going to survive, and you know, we will do it on cultural lines, because why wouldn't you? Now, I'm happy for someone to tell me I'm an idiot, but personally, I felt that really did reflect how mankind would actually take to the stars, because you would cling to those that you get on with, that you gel with, and you would, because you have to work so closely together if you are colonizing a planet. It just makes sense that you would actually do it together rather than trying to make something fit for everybody. And that's the way that we've sort of taken it down the lines for Untold Destiny, for the sci-fi version. And that's how, when we were discussing it, that's the way we sort of took it. And it feels real. And I think it was the Orson Scott Card and his amazing writing that influenced me in that direction. And I think, Dean, you've had other books that have taken you in that direction as well. And if I look at sci-fi, the other books that have really inspired me on the sci-fi side is Arthur C. Clarke.
Mm.
What is the quote that we used when we were talking about Untold Destiny right at the very beginning?
The quote is, either we are not alone in the universe, or we are, and both are equally terrifying.
And
yeah,
that was, we actually put that in our sneak peeks, because the whole point of Untold Destiny was that we were actually alone in the universe. We were a freak. Absolute humankind was a freak of nature, the only intelligent life out there. And that's why the humanity went to the stars. There was nothing else there. That's how they ended up doing all the bioengineering. That's how they bioengineered the different races that we then took the names and the literature to the stars with us, because we would. And that's how we got our elves and our dwarves, etc. And you know something, Jeffrey? I have to admit, I haven't actually read the book. It's on my list.
Yeah, I think Starship Troopers is a book I'd like to read. Yeah.
I've read, I think is it Heinlein? Robert Heinlein? Someone can correct me. But I've read a lot of his work and I haven't read that one. But yeah, Arthur C. Clarke was one I used to read a lot of. Rendezvous with Rama, 2001. I've read so much of that. And that was a real inspiration to me for when we were looking at sci-fi. So yeah, there is something about these books that leave their little bits with you throughout life. But it's amazing how many times I go back and reread them, which is when I've got time, when I'm not having to do 8 million tons of editing.
Well, I've noticed something here. We both have sci-fi books that have humanity against an alien race and fighting for their lives.
Yeah.
Now, I read Ender's Game. I thought it was a great book, but I wasn't as sold as Vicky was. It was a good read. I didn't go any further than the first book.
But how old were you when you read Ender's Game?
Oh God, we'd only just kind of met. So I was 26, 27?
Yeah, whereas again, similar to the Belgariad, I think Ender's Game is a book that, I mean, I was really young. I must have been about 11, 12.
It was your Harry Potter, wasn't it?
It was my Harry Potter. It was my sci-fi Harry Potter. And, I remember reading it under the covers in bed. Oh God, yes, Cyrus. Yes.
In fact, we're about to come on to David Eddings.
And I've talked about David Eddings.
You've talked about. I'm about to talk Sparhawk.
Oh, you're about to talk the next set of David Eddings books. Yeah, and of course Terry Brooks.
Yes, and again, that's another one. I started with the Elfstones of Shannara and absolutely loved them. And then went on to read the
right
Sword.
Way round.
No, I found it better. The Sword of Shannara can be quite a heavy book, and the Elfstones kind of get straight into the action, and you don't need to have read the first one to fully appreciate the second.
Yeah, I started it from the beginning. I think I haven't read his latest one, which means I really need to go get it. But yeah, I remember reading Terry Brooks, all of the Sword of Shannara, all of that series. Again, we're not going to mention the travesty that was this TV show.
No, definitely not.
No.
But before we move on from Orson Scott Card, there was another good mention of some books I read of his. He hasn't completed the trilogy, and I'm really annoyed about it, but his Empire series, books 1 and 2, incredible books.
Oh, they are.
Highly political, going into a what-if scenario for the USA, and actually scary given some of the events that have happened over the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, I think Empire, because I read Empire first, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
And I persuaded you to read it, and you were absolutely...
Yeah, it was after Ender's Game. I was kind of like, oh, I'm not too sure. And then I started. I was taken. In fact, one of our cats was named Reuben after the main character of the first book.
She was, and then we found out she was a girl.
And the name was stuck. The name was there. Reuben. Yeah.
Poor thing. But yeah, Rue was named after the main character in Empire. Fantastic book. Again, that's not fantasy. It's definitely more sort of real world. But again, when you're looking at political structures, when you're looking at what ifs, and it gets that imagination juice flowing, it was absolutely key. But of course, you've got another set of books, and Orson Scott Card has just actually published the next one in his Alvin series, and I've got to go get it because I haven't read it yet. But that was
Oh,
again a series I started when I
let
was
me know
young.
when you're going to do that. I'll find a nice long computer game to get stuck into.
But yeah, it's so many different books. I mean, when I think about, and of course, we both read sort of all of the Forgotten Realms sort of
Mm.
novels. Some of them were a bit dodgy.
You say some of them. No, no. My favorite, the Avatar series. Absolutely loved the Avatar series. You know, Shadowrun. Shadowdale, Shadowrun. Geez, that's another set of novels. Shadowdale, Tantris, and Waterdeep. The trilogy. I found them absolutely fascinating. A little bit over the top. I will be honest. I mean, you're talking about the gods becoming manifest and walking as avatars across the world. But you know what? From firing up the imagination on just having that what if the gods were removed from their power base, flung to the earth, and having to live amongst their followers. And I found it a fascinating tale. In fact, I ran a campaign that kind of took the players through the times of trouble to see what they would do in that scenario, and that was a fantastic campaign, very memorable. Players actually reacting really well to being in a world where the gods were walking amongst them. And it was fantastic. It gave you a great idea of the gods. If something, though, it kind of took the mysticism out of the gods. But at the same time, it made you realize the gods were once normal people who gained godhood. And I think that came clearly through. So good set of books. Don't rubbish those books.
I don't rubbish them, but some of the books, some of the writing was a little bit
Yeah, I would agree.
could have been better. However, I loved the imagination it poured into it. And I also think that those books actually inspired us for our ascension. When you think about it, our characters, so when you play in Untold Destiny at 20th level, right, after then, and once you have established yourself and you've got a good amount of legend, you can actually either upon death, or if you decide you want to retire your character, decide to ascend. Now you can either end up becoming sort of an entity that helps people, or you could end up becoming an avatar for a god or something like that. Or if you play the game and it's gone that direction, you may actually establish yourself as a god in your own right. So this is all about ascension, and I think that those books did actually inspire you about that. I was about to joke that Tolkien isn't publishing that much these days, but I just remembered my personal favorite fantasy author ever, Alan Garner, is still alive and writing sometimes. Yeah, that's one of the things I love is Orson Scott Card is still writing. I tend to read almost, I think I've read everything he's brought out. I think there's one book that's just come out and I haven't read yet. So yeah.
I think I've read, just to move back to Jeff from here, Battletech, I think I've read one book. However, I am fascinated. I just wish I had a bit more time to get into it. The lore of Battletech, I used to know quite a bit about it back in the days when the Mech Warrior 1 and 2, Mech Warrior 2 Mercenaries came out on the PC. And I really got a lot into it. You had the cartoon Battletech, and I find the whole of that really great. I love the way the clans are set up in that, how they bid to have the smallest force possible to take over a planet. And indeed, in one of my favorite computer games, Mech Warrior 2 Mercenaries, you get captured by the clans and escape in a clan mech. And at the very end, you got to take down a Kodiak, and it's a fantastic epic battle as you're running away and trying to just survive. But then you start to get access to clan technology, and I find it the whole BattleTech universe quite fascinating. Very good.
And it's quite funny because we were mentioning sort of the Forgotten Realms books, but of course, who hasn't read the Dritz novels? And I absolutely loved them. And I actually didn't hit the Dritz novels until I was working out in Canada. I was set out to Canada for a course. I didn't really know anybody. And I was out there for quite a long time, and it was over a weekend, and I didn't know what to do with myself. So I ended up in one of the big bookstores. Now, in the UK at the time, we had small bookstores, didn't we, Dean?
We did. We didn't have much. I mean,
We didn't have
did we
big
have
ones.
Waterstones?
No,
Even
no,
no,
they
no.
didn't exist in the UK at the time. So this was the early
Yes.
2000s. And it was before we got the Waterstones and the Borders, and it might have been a Waterstones in Canada, I don't know. But I was amazed because it had a coffee shop. And I was amazed because I found these hardback books, didn't I, Dean? Because I basically I filled up my suitcase with these hardback books, and it was all the Dritz books.
And you could not stop talking about the fact I found a bookstore with a coffee shop in it.
yeah, and I didn't shut up for ages about it. And I spent the whole of that weekend in that bookshop. I bought the books and then spent the whole time drinking coffee, sat in that bookshop, reading the books, because they had these comfy little sofas, and I thought it was amazing. And it was just superb. And of course, you're away from home, and it's always hard. So they really did give me some comfort, and I absolutely fell in love with those characters. I think I bought the Crystal Shard as well. I had it in hardback. But yeah, my poor suitcase on the way out was quite light. I tend to pack light. It's like a couple of pairs of jeans and t-shirts. You know, there you go. That's me done. Oh, PJs. There we go. I am a sort of person who will slap together my suitcase the morning I'm getting on the plane. I absolutely hate packing, so it's all just shoved in. So I had plenty of space, but that suitcase was very heavy on the way back, full of books.
Ooh. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to Black Pants Legion. Very good.
Ooh, that'll be good. But yes, so those books really did influence me. And again, what do they go on? They go on a journey. And this is why I really love the fact that we've got rid of teleport in Untold Destiny, because it loses something when you start bouncing around everywhere. You know, imagine those favorite books of yours if all the characters had to do was to teleport somewhere. It would spoil it. Hello, we've got a Vindictor. Hello.
Ah, yeah, there, Vindictor. He's hit 500 subscribers, and he's promised them live streams going forward. So, I hope you're up for it, Kenneth. I know you are. You're going to be great.
Yes, you'll be great. I look forward to that. It'll be fun. But yes, so I do remember reading those books and how much, yes, the thing is, I found now that the later on those books have gone, I got to a point and I actually stopped reading them. So I haven't read any of the later ones. I just don't know why I couldn't get past a certain point. And it was not long after all of the Artemis stuff, and I just started to go off them. And I haven't read any of those latest ones. Oh, have you?
Well, I hope it went well.
Oh, well, I'm going to have to watch that. I'm going to have to catch up on it. Well, lovely to see that you're doing it. It's great. So, yeah, I think that those books were phenomenal. I'm disappointed that I've not managed to keep up with them, but for some reason they just lost me along the way. Michael.
But yeah, terrible.
So those are good. Have you got any others, Steve?
Well, of course, you kind of stole my thunder with that, but the Elenium and the Tamilol with David Eddings saying we're really ready. No, he wrote this whole story about Sparhawk and his entourage. And Sparhawk, the introduction, them trying to take his horse and him quickly killing the bandits without breaking a sweat, was talked about in our circles for weeks, if not months, when that book came out. And everybody from that point on was trying to create a Sparhawk character in AD&D, and wanting to be that. I'm first level, but I'm this trained assassin who can do all of this fancy stuff at first level. Oh no, goblins hit you, you're dead. Oh well, create another Sparhawk. And Sparhawk was our kind of Dritz
It did.
at the time.
Didn't it come out when we were at university? The
Yeah,
Millennium.
I think
think
it
it
might have
did.
been around about that time. And I found all 6 books were actually quite interesting. I found the heroes weren't in a lot of peril. They always knew what was going on, and they always kind of owned the bad guys, and they always had a plan, which was okay. And I think if I read them now, I'd actually be really happy with that approach, because they are competent people in this world. But I loved the world that was built. I loved one of the first scenes that was described was about Sparhawk detecting the presence of magic, you know, being able to sense the magic, and seeing how it had been tampering some of the people. There was this important vote going through, and they were counting the votes before they would call it, to make sure that when they did call for a vote, that it would pass. And they talked about all this political intrigue and how magic was being used to try and coerce certain people. It was fantastic, and it did paint this big living, breathing world. So David Eddings, a fantastic author, and I thought those set of books was really good. Very, from my point of view, I think it was the low-key magic side of it I really liked. And again, heroes going on a journey. They had to walk from A to B. They took a ship at one point, and it was fascinating. So.
Well, I mean, those were always good books, but I have to say one of the other ones I absolutely adored, and I've just managed to press a button. Why have I managed to press a button?
Because you're very terrible at pressing buttons.
I am, aren't I?
You are really terrible at pressing buttons.
I am terrible at pressing buttons. I lost everything then. Yes, the family sniping and the hero's marriage to be charming. Yeah, it was.
Yes.
But it's funny. I used to love reading, and he did sci-fi books and he did fantasy. Was Piers Anthony. Sorry, I'm just reading that. Coin of Amber. Oh, what did? Trying to remember which one. What's that one's from? Pop down in which, because I might have missed that one, or I just can't remember. But anyway, I absolutely adored Piers Anthony. I read all of his sci-fis. I got into trouble for reading Bio of a Space Tyrant when I was about 13. And my dad went absolutely effy on me. What are you doing reading that? Because it was a little bit probably not right for a 13-year-old girl at the time. But I absolutely loved his writing. But I really loved his Xanth series. And of course, that's the fantasy side. So you had Bio of the Space Tyrant, which was started off with refugee, where they were fleeing and they were all crammed on these refugee ships. It was a little bit. I think the way I would describe it is it really did bring home the cruelty of humans and the challenge of war in a space setting, and it went all the way through. There was a load of books in the series, and it ended up this guy who started off at the beginning at refugee, ended up becoming a politician and all of this sort of stuff. But it was a fantastic sci-fi series. But I also loved his Xanth series, which was fantasy and a bit of comedy. And the reason I'm raising this is because I always used to get, when I was a kid, I used to get upset because everyone wanted to read Terry Pratchett. And I thought Piers Anthony and the Xanth series was better. And I always remember going, but that was out first and that's better. And I remember having that conversation multiple times at school. But not many people seem to, at least in the UK, seem to read Piers Anthony. Now, I don't know whether you guys read a lot of his stuff in the US, but I used to read an awful lot of Piers Anthony.
Yeah, talking of which, the one author we haven't really mentioned and has had very little impact for me is Terry Pratchett. I've read
Yeah,
2 of his books, Guards,
I
and
didn't
Mort.
like it.
And I tried another book and really couldn't get into it. And I don't know whether, because he was massive over here.
Massive, yeah.
Everybody read it, everybody was raving about it, and I don't know whether it's the same over in the US at the time, whether Terry Pratchett and his Discworld series was widely read. But I have noted it's you don't get a lot of it now. You got some people who really enjoy it, love the kind of wacky humor of the place, and some of it's okay, some of it's a little bit overdone, in my opinion. But if you like that kind of weird, wacky world, then
Xanth.
Xanth. Well, obviously Xanth, but if
In fact, it was. I think it's one of the Terry Pratchett ones. One with death. It might be Mort.
yeah,
That was literally. I always kept going. Even the cover. Even the cover is almost the same as the Piers Anthony books. And yeah, I was really into that when I was young. There's one set of books that I read, but I'm really disappointed because I cannot remember them now. And I know I read all of the Michael Moorcock books because I basically had the library bringing them in for me. And I read all of the Ulrich books. But do you think I can remember the story now? So I'm going to have to go back and read it again because I can't remember, Dean.
well, do you know what? This is the beauty of getting old. You get to read books again for the first time.
I'm so lucky.
I know.
I think he insulted me then, guys. Do you think he
No,
insulted me then?
I'm
Yeah.
in that boat as well. It's, I think back to some of the books and I think, well, I think this happened in the book. And I think that happened. What did happen in that book? I remember these events, but I don't know what happened in between.
Well, it's quite funny because I read an Asimov book and I remember it was Asimov. I remember I loved it. I remember pieces from it. But do you think I've ever been able to find that book again? It was one of his little known books, and I've not been able to find it. And it's all I know is it was because I can see the cover, but I cannot find the book. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Right, he's going into the naughty pin.
He is. He has to.
Roger Zelazny was one of my favourite authors whilst I played D&D. I loved how much Gary Gygax would skirt around how much he loved the novel. One of the expert modules was called Castle Amber. Yeah, haven't actually. I don't think I've read it.
It's the first time I'm hearing it. It's the what is it? The Corwin of Amber. The Chronicles of Amber, which I think someone had said. So there's, I think, 5 books written 1970 to 1978.
Well, since I'm on with you guys, I have a confession to make.
I'm not going to sing it. Now, see, what would normally happen whenever Vicky says something like that, or I say something like that, we break into the Foo Fighters song. But the internet's not ready for that.
He didn't fall for it though.
No, I didn't.
This book here, yeah, this lovely book here, which I loved. Can you see it's just beautifully covered and everything? Dean.
Yeah, we own a hefty fine, don't we?
I was supposed to return this 2 years before we got married.
Oh dear.
I think we better get this back to the library. I honestly didn't realise and it's a great book, Canberra of Caldy, Catherine Kurtz, if you haven't read it. And it was one of those, I love it. It's got that old smell. Yes, I know, just like me. Yeah, I'm in organised crime. I have an old library book. And yeah.
And there we go. Yes, old.
Oh, but this was really good. I used to read a lot of Catherine Kurtz, and it was oh no, what's the books? I named my hamster after the dwarf in the book. Binny Beckwasank.
Yeah, Binny.
Binny. Binny. Yeah. It's due back 3 days before
Binny.
my birthday in 1995. Yeah, I think he's a bit late. But yes. Oh, I'm trying to remember the Dragonbone chair. Tad Williams, that's it. I think it is. So yeah, I read those when I left home at 18, and I read those in my own flat. And because I hadn't had any pets, I'd got myself a hamster who then got named after one of the characters and got called Binny. And yes, it's amazing the things you do when you leave home. I had a chipmunk and I had a hamster.
Right. Shall we get back to books?
Oh yeah, books.
Yeah,
I was
books.
talking about books. I was talking about Tad Williams.
Oh, of course. I need to mention Anne McCaffrey.
Oh yes,
Anne McCaffrey and her
Who
To Ride
introduced you
Pegasus.
to Anne McCaffrey?
You did. You introduced me to a
I
lot
did.
of books that weren't the sort of pulp sci-fi or fiction and a bit more highbrow. And Anne McCaffrey, her Pegasus series, To Ride Pegasus, Pegasus in Flight, Pegasus in Space, those 3 books, I absolutely loved them. And again, this fueled my imagination of sci-fi and how telepathic. Ah, geez, you can tell it's late. The telepathy and telekinesis powers.
Yeah.
And the way they would fling objects once they became established and dragon riders of Pern. Yeah. Oh no.
1800s. I think their fine's going to be worse than mine.
I think it will be. But using these psychic powers to fling things across space and having someone at the other end and instant communication between the 2 minds to be able to then catch it and slow it down. So you had this entire transport network spring up. And again, it was this world building of saying, what if these people existed? What if they were fighting for survival and trying to be treated as more than just an underclass? And where would they eventually be once they've established power within the world? And I found her set of books really good. The problem I got, by the time we got to the Rowan and Damia, especially Damia, in fact, I read Damia's Children as well. I found the books would build and build and build and then kind of not go anywhere. And the problem that was rising would be solved really quickly and easily and without any problems at all. And I began to fall out of love. But the first set of books, absolutely loved them. And the establishing of these, I forget what the guild's called, but the guild, the transportation guild that manage and do all the flinging of objects in space. Really good.
Yes, it is. It's really well done. And the way that everything runs through all of the different books from Pegasus right the way through to Rowan and Damia, even from the fact you've got all the genealogy and everything that works there. And again, one of the things Anne McCaffrey did was the dragons in the Dragons of Pern series, which I do believe someone's just highlighted here. Yes, AGP has. I mean, the dragons were actually bioengineered in order to overcome the challenge they had with thread falling. And again, we've got sort of bioengineering that runs through the history of our world. So you can see every single book that we have, there's like drip feeds here and there throughout our system where we've taken inspiration from the stuff we've read. I think the hardest thing for me is the fact there's so many books that we love and we've read that have influenced us that we haven't had time to cover. I mean, you've had this wonderful tale of what made you explore the sort of more macabre area of book reading.
Oh, I do. It was, and again, I was probably, I must have been about 8 at the time. And I was given this tape cassette. You know, it's a thing that you put a pencil in to wind it round and to unwind it. But this tape, I listened to it and it took me to an incredible world. This music was amazing and it talked about these strange things. And I didn't realize at the time what I was listening to. But it was, let me bring it up here, Tales of Mystery and Imagination. Edgar Allan Poe by the Alan Parsons Project. And wow, they did the song about the raven and the telltale heart and the cask of the Montalador and stuff like this. And it was enchanting. And it wasn't until a little bit later that I found out that this was Allan Poe's stories, and I managed to get hold of a book of his and started to read through them, and it brought the macabre to life for me and made me see things slightly differently. It also kind of opened the gateway to me reading. Or is it Lovecraft and some of his works and some of the weird worlds and the strangeness that he created, and that strangeness, it's that kind of strangeness that helps your imagination break free from the mundane. So when you're thinking of creatures and you're thinking of things to put into your world, and um, it allows you to think beyond, to use a well-used phrase, outside the box, but it allows you to really think beyond. And this is where we came up with things like the golems. And we will, in probably a couple of weeks, be showing you our golems and talking through them and describing
Stunning.
them, because Elsie Freitas, he has done an incredible job bringing these alive, and they are truly
Absolutely stunning.
horrific, and have such a place in our world, and are one of the major threats you've got within the world.
Yeah, I've
So
got
yes.
I've got a bone to pick with Edgar Allan Poe because that cost us a lot of money when we
Oh
went
God,
to.
yeah.
So there's a lovely little bookshop in Cardiff called the Trout Mark, isn't there?
Yes.
And it's got some beautiful books, and we found in there a beautifully bound Edgar Allan Poe, and we couldn't leave it there because we had to buy it.
No, we had to buy it. We had to. There will be bits and pieces. In the basic edition, we can only go so far because it is designed to be not too complicated. But in the advanced edition, the Adversaries and Allies book will have deep histories about these creatures, where they're from, how they're engineered. So when you're running the game, you've got a real good insight into how to run those creatures or what kind of a threat they are. One creature that Vicky is very fond of and came up with, having watched a document. What creature is that, Vicky?
Oh, my saltwater crocodile.
Yeah, and you
So
think
yes,
crocodile?
No,
Yeah,
no. But yeah, the bioengineering piece. So that is going to be. We'll go into a lot of depth about the bioengineering of the races. All of that will actually be in the sci-fi, which is 2029, which will be Untold Destiny, but the sci-fi version, you'll actually get taken through all of that. But we will be putting stuff out, stories and things like that, that will actually allow you to see how it all came around. So the sneak peek we put together, we actually talked a lot about the history behind Untold Destiny that goes into the sci-fi. But what we don't want to do is overwhelm the fantasy part of it by talking too much about how the races have come around. Because at the point where it's set, which is 800 years after the Ashfall, they don't actually remember any of this. It's too far gone for them to remember that they were bioengineered. So this is where that lore will be heavily baked into the sci-fi version, but isn't so prevalent, even though it is the background to the fantasy.
Yeah, what you will get is a fantasy description of what has happened, rather than so there won't be any technical terms, but it will be talking about the creation. Mages coming together, great powerful magic's been used to create or bind or to do these different things. In the sci-fi version, it'll become more scientifically based, and again, it's a leaning on what you have around you as a culture informs how you describe things happening, or how you describe your history and your past. And in a very fantasy-based setting, they lack the vocabulary to describe the scientific nature of what has happened. And some of that science is tinged with magic. So they describe it more as a magical thing. And the great empires that use magic to build themselves up and to explore the stars, When the science fiction version, you'll get to see the actual science behind all of that. But in the advanced system, in the adversaries and allies, there will be a good in-depth kind of etymology around the creatures, but from a very fantasy point of view, how they came around and why they're there. So you got a really good understanding of them.
Oh, how much inspiration was Babylon 5, Dean?
Well, Babylon 5 was an incredible inspiration, given that Babylon 5 is basically a science fiction retelling of Lord of the Rings to some respects. There's a lot of Lord of the Rings influence within Babylon 5. And it's, if you go to Sci-Fi Snob's channel, we do a, what is it called? A
Deep dive?
No, it's not a deep dive. It's a
It's
retrospective.
That's it.
So we're in season 4 at the moment, going on to episode 4, and going through it again. You're really beginning to see the similarities where he's drawn inspiration from Lord of the Rings. But Babylon 5, as it's on its own, a lot of influence. They did a lot of research into how spacecraft should work, how space battles were done. If you note, there aren't shields on board ships. The best you got is organic ships that can absorb some of the energy. And it's the detailing of, you got pulse weapons that can be intercepted by interceptors. And then you got beam weapons that basically cut through everything. And then how the different races, if it's a very early race, they'll probably have a lot of pulse weapons. But if it's a more advanced race, they'll have a lot of beam weapons. The Centauri being a bit of an exception, they don't seem to like beam weapons. They just have a lot of pulse weapons, which is why Babylon 5 could hold off a Centauri cruiser with the help of a Narn heavy cruiser. Yeah, it's Babylon 5. I love it. Absolutely love it. We watch it every now and then, and I've been watching a lot of it of late to talk on Sci-Fi Snob's channel on our retrospective. And if you're a Babylon 5 fan, you need to pop along to that live stream.
The first thing that Dean made, so when we first met, like the first thing that he made me watch was Babylon 5, because it was when it was first starting to air, and we actually sat there in his little bedroom watching Babylon 5 on a little TV together, and that was one of my early memories. Hello, Eric.
Hey, Eric. Good to see you.
So yes, Babylon 5, massive influence on us. I would say there's flavors of Babylon 5 that ran heavily through our early lore. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely influenced in the way we describe spaceships and stuff like that. Space travel, the gate system. I came up with what I found to be so we don't have hyperspace. As I said, we have singularity gates, and I found that matched a bit better where I'd see the universe, and then dark matter and stuff like that. So how all of that works. But Babylon 5 was definitely a massive influence, especially when it came to how the ships work and how that kind of science fiction works. Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that books have had the massive influence on us throughout. Yeah, people do. They like it. It's the same thing happens with H.P. Lovecraft, though. You get a lot of love for H.P. Lovecraft, and you get it with people reading it. You get with lots of people creating TV shows based on a H.P. Lovecraft, and then he falls out of favor again.
Yeah.
Personally, I made the mistake. So I have a beautiful big book of all of H.P. Lovecraft's work, haven't I, Dean?
You do, yes.
Yes. And I took it away with me when I was working away, and I was actually staying. So I managed to secure. Yes, we are nerds. I'm sorry. I managed to secure this absolutely lovely. It was, I suppose you would call it a caravan. But it was one of these sort of cabins. It was on the edge of the River Avon. I was contracting, and I managed to secure that, and I was on the site before the site was officially open for the season. So there was only me on the site. What book did I take with me to read whilst I was on that site, Dean?
It was a Lovecraft book, was it? Was it not?
Yes, it
Or
was my
a lot of his
wonderful book.
tales, a thick book.
Yes.
Yes.
So there's me at night. I'm going to read in bed. Sat there in bed. Then there's the scraping of the trees on the top of this caravan. The wind was blowing. You had the sound of the water outside. I tell you this, do not read H.P. Lovecraft when you're about 30 foot away from a riverbank with a tree above your caravan. You will not get a wink of sleep that night.
No, you won't.
I said to Dean, I said, I'm not taking that book with me again. No, I'm going to read it at home in the nice surroundings where at least I've got my husband to go and check out any weird noises.
Yes.
So yes.
Yes. But isn't that amazing? This is how literature can really infect the mind. It can take you to another place. It can make you feel you're somewhere else and feed that imagination. And that's what we wanted to share with you in the stream, is what kind of books, what literature fired up our neurons, made us think and go to other worlds and other places and imagine the impossible. And this is but a fraction of the books. There's so many more books that have influenced me. I think these are probably the top
biggest ones.
The biggest ones. Yeah.
And again, we read them multiple times. It's just, yes, watch out for Cthulhu, definitely.
She was rolling several D10s there. Yeah.
But as it is getting late, and I know there'll be other streams that you all have to dive off for, there's a few things that I want to take you through, first of all, before we call it a night. And the first, my friends, I am obviously going to have to press buttons, which is always a challenge. Here I am, pressing buttons. Not well, though. Move me around. There we go.
There we go.
Paddy has been an absolute star. And you can get, and I'll put the stuff in the chitty chats. Yes. You can get 10% off using the code EV10. All right. EV10, you can get 10% off his wonderful stuff. All right. I'd also like to highlight that Paddy is doing some artwork for us. And if you use the code EV10, he's going to be nice to us as well. And it will reduce the amount we have to pay him. So not only are you buying some really cool merch, and it is fab merch, don't tell Dean, I'm going to get him the Hawaiian shirt and I'm going to make him wear it on stream, all right?
Oh, I'd love to wear the Hawaiian shirt. I love Hawaiian shirts. I used to have a load of Hawaiian shirts till someone got rid of them.
I took them off you. But I'll buy you that one, okay? A present from me to you, because you need a new shirt. So I'm going to get, and he's going to wear it on stream. But if you use the code EV10, you'll get 10% off. It's fab merch. And Paddy's a great guy. He's been a massive supporter of us. He's going to be doing some artwork for us as well, which is just superb. And you know what my view is about supporting artists. Paddy's been fantastic. Do us a favour, go check out his stuff. It's great. There we go. There's that one. And then, next week, I wanted to talk a bit about next week, didn't I, Dean?
Yes, you did.
I did. Now, this is going to be quite an exciting one next week. We've got a guest, haven't we, Dean?
We do have a guest. Quite, yes, a very good guest. I like him.
We do. We are going to be, next week, we're going to be discussing what it takes to run a YouTube channel. So we are going to be joined by Max Leo, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, from Legion of Myth. He's going to join us to talk all about running a YouTube channel, the different things, some of the trials, tribulations, some of the things we found, some advice, things like that. And we're going to talk about why we decided to go into YouTubing like this, talking about stuff, what led us on this journey, how we came here, and also talk to Max about all of the stuff that he's doing with Legion of Myth. And what it takes to run a YouTube.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be an exciting one. We're going to be talking about lots of different bits and pieces on there, and a lot about Untold Destiny and our plans long term. We've got quite a few plans for our YouTube long term, haven't we?
Oh, we have.
We
And
have.
do you know what? Since appearing on Legion of Myth to talk about just any role play stuff, so he has like a GM's Insight panel. I've met some incredible people. It's a fantastic community, and he puts a lot of time and effort into his channel. You know,
really does.
I think what I want to do here is be able to shine a light on just how hard it is to run a very busy, successful YouTube channel, and how difficult it can be, especially when times are tight. Making sure you got the funds coming in to keep the channel ticking over and to keep it moving forward. So yeah, I'm really excited about talking to him and getting to understand a lot more about some of the challenges he faces running a YouTube channel.
Yeah, and it also means we can get lots of nice, juicy advice. And I know a lot of you have either got YouTube channels yourselves, or you might be thinking about it. You know, in which case, come along, ask loads of questions. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be a real. I'm looking forward to it.
I also think Earthdawn may be mentioned.
No.
Yes, he loves Earthdawn.
He loves Earthdawn.
So, and as Earthdawn is one of my, we had a campaign, an Earthdawn campaign, and it's one I remember very fondly. Loved it, absolutely loved it, and yes, it's one of those systems. It's a quirky system, but it's actually it's good. Play. It's great fun to play. Definitely is.
Thing is, Dean says he loved it, right? But I remember the whinging and the moaning about the fact that we all went windlings.
Yes, fairy creatures that could all fly for a little bit of time. So it was like, really.
Well, but, I hope we see you there next week, Kenneth. It should be a really good stream. Max has got a wealth of knowledge about YouTubing. This is my 17th live stream that I've ever done. No, 17th, 18th, 19th live stream that I've ever done. And I'm going to be on Legion of Myth next month.
Next month,
I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm on 2 next month. So for some reason, I've decided I don't need any sleep either. So I will be joining a couple of legions of Myth. One with Dean and one without. That'll be fun. I can get to keep him up all night rather than the other way around. So we have that next week. The way we're going to be doing this, we will be telling you what's coming up. We have got plans that are just going on and on and on. So just to reiterate, we have also got our backer kit that is up and running right now for just following. Have I actually managed to share that? It's the buttons again. The buttons, changing the buttons. I'm quite sure that Max will tell me I'm not supposed to talk about changing the buttons.
What have you just done? I'm big. I'm big again. Yes, absolutely. Send me a DM. In fact, and let me just bring that back. I am so happy that
I'll let me read that out.
Yeah,
just quickly.
You read it.
Dean's appearance on Jack's stream last week inspired many compliments and thoughts in me. Would a message about that be okay? I seldom do PMs, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There is no problem in pestering Dean about anything.
Absolutely no problems at all. And yes, I'm glad it was an inspiration. So yeah, that was probably one of the heaviest streams I ever did. Yeah, it's nice to be able to go into that level of depth and to talk about that. But my heart is fantasy, and I try and keep very non-political in all matters. But yeah, by all means, contact me. And
yeah, But you see, both Dean and I have both got buttons, but sometimes I have the stuff to show using the buttons. And then I have this little thing that comes up on the screen and hides the buttons. And I'm just not very good with buttons. There is the genuine chair to keyboard interface issue.
There is.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So our backer kit, it's there for you to follow. That will be launching on the 13th of October. Right, so that's 13th of October. That will be for the full basic edition. So just to reiterate, 30th of June, our condensed rules are coming out. They're fully complimentary. They will be out, and we couldn't be more excited and marginally terrified. Then
yes.
on the 28th of July, we will be putting out our complimentary adventure.
Yes, so, just the start of it, but it gives you a kind of sandpit to experiment and a framework to run. Not quite a one shot. I think it'll probably take 4 to 5 sessions to run through it.
Dean always goes, "Oh, it's all full." It's not a full campaign, but it is definitely a full decent dungeon. You've got a whole town to explore. You've got a whole dungeon to explore. It's an adventure, right? Just because it isn't a whole module doesn't mean it's not. He's worked really hard on this, guys, and he keeps sort of going, "Oh, but it's not lots." It's a lot, all right? It will be fantastic for you guys to get it. You guys will be able to play. Again, with the stuff that comes out the 30th and the 28th, we will be putting out some surveys for you guys to feed back if there's things you like, don't like, anything you think we should tweak. Look, we want the feedback. We want to make sure that when we go, this backer kit goes live on the 13th of October, that the book is as good as it can be, right? That is our goal, is to make sure when we release this book, you guys are wowed with its quality. We do not believe in putting things out there that haven't got a top-notch quality. We are both perfectionists, which is one of the reasons that things are now delayed to June rather than December last year.
Yeah.
But we want feedback. So please, guys, when it comes out on the 30th, we're going to be launching it here on Destiny's Dispatch, aren't we?
We are. So we will have the countdown going on.
Yes.
It's going to be fantastic. So I've shared links to Backer Kit. If you aren't already following the project, please do so. It's nice to see our numbers going up. And also you then get the latest news as we get closer to the
I need
launch
to
date.
start making. And oh, that would be lovely. Thank you, Kenneth.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. What we're going to be doing is, of course, with the complimentary rules going out, we're going to be going out contacting any YouTubers out there who want to talk about
Kenneth.
it. Hello, Kenneth.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi.
And just trying to get the word out, trying to get in front of whoever wants to talk about it. We'll be sending out the advanced copies as soon as we can, and going from there. So yeah. And Paddy, if you're still listening in, Paddy.
Yes, I do believe that someone has this show. So hi. Yay, Michael wants to talk about it. Yay.
Brilliant. So Vicky will be, I think it's on probably the weekend, but we'll be starting to send out lots and lots of stuff about that. So yeah. But we're really excited, and we just want to get as many people informed as possible. We don't have a lot to spend on advertising, so it's all about just trying to get that word out and to get people. It's going to be free, so we just want people to know it's there so they can download it and see whether they like it.
Yeah. So it's going to be cool. I've got stuff I will need to be tarting up on the on the backer kit as we get closer and stuff like that. And congratulations at AGP, 94 readers on that's Substack, isn't it, that you use? Yeah, that's brilliant.
That's good work.
Yeah, it's something. I love this community. I love what we're all trying to do together. And if you haven't joined the Indie Game Guild, get yourselves over there, join the Indie Game Guild. We're on Discord. And I should actually put a link in, shouldn't I?
You do the link. I'm going to talk about the fact we've got an Indie Spotlight coming out on Thursday as well. 4 p.m. our time. It goes live on YouTube. And it was the Bad Toads games and mages,
yeah,
mercs, or mercs, mages, and monsters. And
mercs, mages, and monsters. Yes,
yeah, it was fantastic. So
we loved it.
The moment it's out, have a good look at that interview. They're lovely guys, and it was an absolute blast talking about it.
Something, I loved that. Some of the descriptions in that book was just stunning.
Yes.
It was fun. It had some great mechanics. I did really love going through that game. So yes, definitely. That interview will be out Thursday, 4 p.m. UK time, which is 11 a.m. EDT.
I've just shared the link.
Oh, oi! That was my job. Stealing my job just because you're fast at the fingers.
Just quick with the buttons. I'm quick on the buttons.
Yes, he's too quick on the buttons. I'm going to have to send George in.
No, don't. He'll just sleep over my old desk.
Exactly. He'll sleep on your keyboard. That'll stop you pressing buttons.
It will. But thank you so much for your company again tonight. I hope you've enjoyed a little walk down memory lane as we recall all the books that have inspired us and informed us when it comes to role-playing and fantasy and sci-fi. Next week, yeah, it's going to be a great show as we talk to Max. So
Dean is always better with buttons, yes, I have to say.
Yeah.
Yay. Anyway, with that, you see, I was pressing that button. That's my job.
There we go.
I have one goddamn job on this show, and you keep stealing it. Stop it.
Yeah, decent people.
It was so much fun. I can honestly say, I really enjoyed it. It was just the game, fantastic. So with that, it's good night for him.
And it's good night from her.
Night, guys.
Good night.